Anyway, I've gotten to do so much and have had so much fun.
What's going on YouTube? I am super excited about today's video because I feel like everyone I know has some sort of Meals on Wheels story, whether or not they volunteered with them at some point, or they know someone who's on Meals on Wheels, or they benefited directly from Meals on Wheels at some point in their life. It is such a vital part of every community that is participating in. So today I was very honored to be invited out there to talk to their CEO and a lot of key members of their team to bring a little bit more to life about what all Meals on Wheels San Antonio does for the local community. Their tagline is more than a meal, and trust me, after spending an entire day with them, I understand why that is true. It is way more than just meal cooking and meal delivery, and I'm gonna talk to you all about that in this two-part video series. So the way we broke it up is I'm gonna show you an interview with Vincent Ferris, their CEO, and let him tell you the story of how he got involved in the Meals on Wheels San Antonio, all the things they do for the community. I think it was a great interview, so I don't wanna cut it up. I wanted to show you it in its entirety, and then for the part 2 video, which is coming out in a couple more days, we're gonna do everything I learned while volunteering at Meals on Wheels San Antonio, where we go into things like all the other programs they have outside of meal delivery. We'll actually go on some meal delivery so you can see a day in the life of the volunteer from all sorts of different angles. And we're going to talk to a couple of their key staff members that run all of the programs for Meals on Wheels San Antonio so you personally can get involved. But before we get to part 2, let's dive into part 1.
Nick, it's great having you here today. I'm Vincent Ferris. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here at Meals on Wheels San Antonio.
Let's start off with the new campus. It is absolutely beautiful. When did you guys break ground? When did this actually go live to be in the building?
Right. The planning has been in the works for quite a number of years. We actually purchased the property several years ago. It was three pieces of property that had apartments on it in the 60s. It's been vacant for the past 20 years. We have very mature trees here. We found it by accident, and it couldn't have been a better location for us because, of course, everything surrounds our Meals on Wheels services, which means we're out on the road and we need access to streets. We've been operating out of an old facility that has been absolutely wonderful to the organization. It was built in 1974 as a Wyatt's cafeteria. It was worn out. It had served its time when the organization bought it in '94. Minimal work done to bring it a little more up to speed for the organizations to actually start cooking there in '95. It has served us well, but keep in mind, it is the same kitchen footprint that Wyatt's had back in the 70s. So we were out of space. We couldn't plug anything else in. We were out of electricity. We've been in such a need. And then, of course, the pandemic came around, and that really amplified the need. But this building that you're in today was planned pre-pandemic to house all of everything was really around the kitchen production facility, which we hope can take us for the next 30, 40, maybe 50 years out. We have an Alzheimer's center here, and then our mission support team. So that's what the building was planned for. We actually moved in this past November was when we started moving.
Oh, so very new.
Over. Very new. We had broken ground the prior May, and so it was a 12-month build. We thought we were going to, we had planned for an $18.5 million facility. We were able to bring more resources to the table, and with more resources, we could do things like finish out the future areas. And so we have completely built the campus out, and it is pretty darn cool. One of the things that we had on our wish list was to put solar panels on the roof. It was something that we did not include, but it was on our wish list. But when we got out there, people were responding to that need. But the city of San Antonio had a bond program coming up, and we were encouraged to go to one of the committee's hearings and say, "Hey, we're sustainable. We're resilient. This is a gift to the city of San Antonio citizens for years to come." In that $1.2 billion that the voters approved for the bond, Meals on Wheels San Antonio was awarded $1 million for a solar array on our roof. It's almost an acre of rooftop up there. We're going to have 504 panels once it's turned on, which should be any day now. We also were able to get 4 superchargers out here for electric vehicles. We do not have any electric vehicles in our fleet now, but that day is coming. But for our volunteers and our staff and those in the community, that's going to be available to them too. So pretty cool building.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And you guys will see more of the building. We're going to do a little tour and get some photos after. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. So that's the building. Obviously, the important thing today we're going to talk about is the mission. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you became, to be at Meals on Wheels San Antonio, and then what's your day-to-day look like?
Sure. Our organization was actually founded 45 years ago. This is our 45th anniversary that we're celebrating all year. We have so much to be thankful for. Two downtown Lutheran churches came together to form what's we know today as Meals on Wheels San Antonio. It was St. John's Lutheran and Grace Lutheran. St. John's had the kitchen, Grace Lutheran had a meeting space. So that was where the impetus came from. The organization was officially incorporated as Christian Senior Services, in which we operated for very many years under that. One of the pictures across the room that we're sitting in today is Miss Clara Williams, who was one of our founding board members way back when in the 70s. So a long history of serving the community, kind of under the radar, never widely known as we should have been and could have been. There was an official name change to Meals on Wheels San Antonio, I believe in 2018. And, the thing, I can talk numbers of meals we serve, I can talk this beautiful building that we have here, but really, Nick, we need to be talking about the why. And the why are those individuals we see each and every day across San Antonio, Bexar County, and the surrounding counties out here. These are people that help build our community. They worked in the grocery stores, they were firemen, police officers, they were our teachers. I mean, you name it. These are our grandparents, great-grandparents, aunts and uncles that are living longer, and they are wanting to stay in their homes, and they want to stay in a lifestyle that's beneficial to them and to their families. And so everything we do here at Meals on Wheels is to keep people as healthy as possible, as independent as possible, and in their own homes. So what started out as serving 9 or 10 people back in the late 70s there, we're in 4,000 homes here in San Antonio and South Central Texas today. So when people come and volunteer with Meals on Wheels, they knock on the door, they're carrying the meal, but it's more than a meal. It's a safety check. It's letting this individual know that, hey, you're not forgotten, you're remembered there. So the meal pack's a punch, very nutritional. We are one of the few Meals on Wheels organizations in the country that still own and operate our own kitchen. Most have been outsourced out there, so we're in complete control. We all eat the meals here on a regular basis. We're our own worst critics. Yeah, our best critics, I should say, not worst. But when we have something that's good, we tell them, yeah. And when it's a miss, we tell them that too, because the food is highly nutritious, but it needs to taste good and it needs to be fun to eat. Right? And if you don't enjoy eating it, you're missing the point. Once people are eating, a lot of things happen for the good. Medicines do the work that they were designed to do much better. A lot of good things going on there. People strength build once they're getting up out of their chairs to go answer the door every day. It's amazing because fall risk actually drop, and we don't want people falling and fracturing a hip there. But I've been doing Meals on Wheels since 1988. I was with the Meals on Wheels organization in North Texas. I've been here in San Antonio for 7 years now. In my early career, when I had hair and when it was black, I was the guy who would jump up on the table and it's all about the food. It's all about the food. I still jump up on the table and talk about the food, but it's also about the personal touch. Isolation can really play havoc on folks. Some people enjoy being alone, but loneliness is a problem for more of us than not. The folks we serve are not the ones that you see on television lined up at a food giveaway, something like that. These guys are behind closed doors. They can't get out. They can't get to the grocery store. They can't prepare a meal for themselves. They're all too often just strictly by themselves. Many have family members, but a lot of those family members don't live in the San Antonio area. But if you were out knocking on doors with us today, right at 4,000 people that we're serving, it's 24 of them that are over the age of 100. And what's amazing about these guys is that most of them didn't come to us until after they were past 100 years old. So put that in perspective. Think about that. They're living by themselves. They are still independent enough to be in their own home or apartment. And, but we're there checking on them daily, letting them know they're not forgotten, providing this wonderful meal to them that helps sustain them there. So it's about those folks that we're here. A lot of these people have been celebrities of sorts. We have served former congressmen, city councilmen, people that have had very important roles with organizations that we're working for. The majority of the people that we serve are low income, so many of them have outlasted and outlived their savings. But some people that we serve do have some resources. They just don't have family. They don't have the means to get to the store. They are not able to prepare their own meals. So the work that we do here at Meals on Wheels is for all of the older adults who need some assistance in here.
And I love that you say it's more than a meal. I did some Meals on Wheels volunteer work over in Tampa where I grew up. And I think one of the things that we did a little differently because it was through a high school program is part of it was delivering the meal. And the other 10 to 15 minutes was just, hey, how are you doing? Like checking in, making sure you're okay. And I think one of the reasons I was super excited to come here is that memory has always stuck with me because it's you're the only person they see that week in some cases. And I think people really forget, with like how impactful loneliness can be on our elderly and their mental health. And I think that's such almost an unknown, maybe not an unknown value that you all provide, but I love that that's a part of at least how you see it because it's so much more than just food. It's a community. It's this overarching impact that spreads to so many other things that you all are involved in.
Our organization is blessed in so many ways, and we have had such strong support through the people stepping forward to volunteers to get out there and pound the pavement, knock on the doors, and visit with these wonderful people that we serve. And time again, so many people, much like you, sir, say, I've got more out of this than I ever put into it. I had no idea. Because it's really, you're on a history tour out there. Go be willing to listen because these folks have stories to tell. And you will learn some amazing things just in the few short minutes you're spending with them. But it is amazing. When you think of someone who's almost 100 or around 100 years old, everything they've seen in their lifetime, wow, it's hard to fathom what they have been through. I mentioned Miss Williams over there on the wall. She was a woman of color who was trained as a nurse but couldn't practice in her trade in the local hospitals in the early years because of where she came from. And yet, we've made a lot of progress there, but we still got a long ways to go in so many areas. But when you listen to these folks tell their stories, it means a lot to us. But talking about more than a meal, our Animeals services are one of the most fun things we do.
So what is that? So what is Animeals? Explain the concept.
When I go out and talking to a group, when somebody says, okay, what is this Animeals? And I start talking, and that's all we want to talk about. These people are pet people. We have
animals. Okay, there we go. I'm caught up.
This is pet food for our,
I was going animated. I was like, oh, these more. Okay.
And so many of these pets that our clients have are they are their furry friend. They are their emotional support pet. I mean, it is phenomenal. What we were seeing all too often, the client would not eat all of the meal. They would put their tray outside, and that food has two things wrong with that. One, the client's not getting all the nutrition that they need by saving some for the pet, but the meal's not designed for the animal. It's not good for the cat, it's not good for the dog. We have a lot of people donating pet food, which is wonderful because we don't have to buy it. We have a lot of people who donate money for that special pet food that we have to buy. And so many of our Animeals volunteers actually deliver on weekends, so it's another touch point for them to see the client at home. But we work with some local veterinarians, we work with some of the mobile grooming services, because think about that. The client can't get out to go to the store. The client has trouble getting to the doctor. How are they going to get that pet into the vet? And so these guys work with us to do wellness checks for the animals. And it could be just the clipping of the nails or the grooming or coming in and doing an occasional vaccination. And we work with the ADL and some other groups there in rehoming should the individual no longer be able to take care of their pet. But Animeals is fun, and I encourage everybody that wants to learn more about it to come out because it's pretty cool. And some of these animals are quite old too, and don't be surprised in seeing a 20-year-old dog or cat because it's just phenomenal. It's fun.
So obviously lots of great programs from Animeals to meal delivery. So can you tell me a little bit more about what are all the volunteer, maybe not all, but give me an idea of some of the volunteer opportunities where someone's like, man, I want to get involved.
Sure,
maybe it's money, maybe it's time. What can I do to do more for the organization?
One of the other services that we have, we call Friendly Visitor, and we were talking about loneliness and isolation. Our Friendly Visitor services is we match volunteers with individuals people who have time to give to people who are looking for certain needs. And so we're not telling them what they do, how often they have to do it or whatnot. We're just pairing people. And some of it is as simple as just regular phone calls. Hey, this is Nick, I'm just calling to check in on you. It could be that this happened, we had a woman who had been a baker her entire life, macular degeneration causing issues with her sight. And her Friendly Visitor would come in periodically and they would bake cookies and cakes together, what a fun thing. We have a lot of volunteers. If you have time to spend, want to share with some people, make a difference in their lives, Friendly Visitor is there. Our biggest volunteer opportunity, of course, though, is delivering our home-delivered noontime meals. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour. You can commit to doing it once a week. You could do it every other week. You could be on standby. You could do it once a month. We can pair you up and get you on the calendar, whatever works for you and your schedule. And the same thing goes for the neighborhood that you want to deliver in, because we are in neighborhoods all across San Antonio and Bexar County.
That sounds like a very easy volunteer placement. I feel like one of the things, at least that I get asked all the time, is, oh, I can only come once a month, or oh, I can't commit to a schedule. And I think that deters people from wanting to get involved. So it's very encouraging to hear that you guys have almost designed a system that regardless of your availability, there's a way to get you kind of plugged into the program.
Right. And people can go online to our website now and they can actually make their reservation on there themselves. And so pretty easy. Our routes are very compact so that people aren't driving miles and miles. It's mostly in neighborhoods, some of them apartment complexes, but you can really make a difference there. We do a background check on individuals, but it's pretty darn easy to volunteer here.
Question a little unrelated, but I've been dying to ask, because there's Meals on Wheels, the kind of the parent organization potentially, and then there's Meals on Wheels San Antonio. Can you walk me through what's the key differences? I'm assuming there's a relation, but where does it connect, where does it not?
Yes. Meals on Wheels America is a national organization that is really a trade group in which meal programs across the country are members of. Meals on Wheels America does a lot in advocacy. They do a lot in research, helping to fund various research projects to help us do our jobs better here at the local level. But there are over 5,000 Meals on Wheels organizations across the country, and they may not be called Meals on Wheels. They may be called something that doesn't anymore sound like they're doing.
So they don't even have to use the name.
No, they don't have
why.
to use the name. So it's a very loose confederation. So this is quite different from some of the national organizations like the Red Cross, for example, or Salvation Army or Boys and Girls Club that are tied into the national organization. Ours is very local. Decisions are made locally. What we do across these 5,000 men are similar, but they're not all the same. When you see a Meals on Wheels organization, you know it's the local roots that are the most meaningful.
And I love to hear that too, because it's, as great as national organizations are, I think it says something when you can have those localized decisions, because you see the people in San Antonio, right? You're the ones going out, that's your constituents in a sense, right? Where they're helping you showcase where the needs are at. I'm assuming that drives decision making, or how does that influence kind of your decisions as you're choosing what to do or where to be based?
We are looking at local need. We're doing our best to address local need, and that's what drives everything we do here. Our strategic efforts. It's what does the community need. It's not something on high telling us what to do. we do pay dues to Meals on Wheels America. It's very, very small. So when we're out raising money, people see Vincent coming and they go, oh no, he's trying to raise money again. I am, because we need more resources to do more good here in the community. But the monies that we raise here stay here in San Antonio and South Central Texas.
And I've got more questions for Vincent, but I'm going to do a call out. The links to donate are going to be below, so please take some time. If you're not going to come volunteer your time here, at least send them some money, because they're doing amazing things for the San Antonio community. And speaking of those amazing things, I would love to hear, are there some particular stories, or what is your why that gets you excited to come here every day?
If I can make the difference in one life, one person's life a day, my day has been a success. And I used to work in the food service hospitality business, and fast and furious, had lots of fun, but I had hit a point that I was kind of like, I wonder what I want to do with the rest of my life when I grow up. And I accidentally stumbled on an opportunity, as I mentioned, in North Texas. And I have never regretted it one minute. I've never looked back. I've never had so much fun in my life, because what we are doing, as we talked about, is local. It's helping local people. It is helping our neighbors. It is helping the people that made it possible for all of us to be here. And just going into the homes. I was at an individual's 104th birthday party the other day. Her pictures in one of the other buildings here, and I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave. This lady was she's tiny, just tiny, and she has been on service almost 20 years, which is just amazing. Longest individual on Meals on Wheels services ever. But I got to sit down with her on her couch, and it was a big, oversized, stuffy couch, and I felt every bit as small as she did, but I couldn't have felt bigger, because she was so appreciative of what we had been able to do to help her. And hearing her talk about how she looks forward to the volunteers coming every day and what this has meant in her life, I couldn't really talk. I mean, the tears were just coming down, and she was quite a sweetie. There's so many stories like that. The work that our volunteers do it's just priceless, and we can't say thank you enough, because without them we couldn't begin to do what we do.
I do want to touch on, because I think it's really interesting, and we're going to go back and get some footage of it. There's a massive kitchen that we walked by on the way in.
Massive. I like the way you turned it.
It's very, I'll be honest, it's very large. I'm excited to show everybody. So you make well, not you personally, but you all make the meals that are delivered out, and that doesn't seem very common. Can you tell me, was that a decision you all made? Has it always been like that? I know since the founding, right, it was meeting room and kitchen, so I'm assuming it's always had some
when the
sort of facet.
organization started cooking in the Fellowship Hall in St. John's downtown, and when they bought the old cafeteria, they thought that, my gosh, this is just the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they were about 700, 800 meals a day at that point. When we started planning for this building, we thought our kitchen over there would max out at about 4,500 meals a day. The pandemic taught us that we could do a whole lot more than that. During the pandemic, when we revved up services for so many, we were actually doing 10,000 meals a day. And how we did it, I don't know, but let me tell you, we're that building completely out. This facility here was designed to do 10,000 hot meals per shift, meaning we could do 3 hot shifts per day if we needed to. Imagine there's a natural disaster or something we're having to respond to. Chances of us ever doing that many meals is pretty darn slim. The pandemic taught us that we can produce more meals than we thought we could, so I'm not sure the 10,000 meals a shift is a good number. Our line is set up right now with a conveyor belt in it, and you'll see it, Nick. It's almost like the I Love Lucy with the chocolates at times. So the conveyor belt.
You and I might be the only ones who get that joke while watching this video, but
but people need to look at it.
Yeah, we'll link that. You got it. Classic scene.
We can do 30. We can seal 30, prepare, plate, and seal over 3,400 meals an hour back then. When we get cranked up and going, this equipment that we have combi ovens back there that we can do everything from raw chicken to yeast rolls in, and it is amazing how we can cook things from scratch It is so much better nutrient-wise, it's so much better taste-wise, it's less expensive to prepare than what we have been doing with having to buy so many things that were prepared already and which we were just really retherming. So it's a massive kitchen that's made to do high volume. Here we also should mention that we prepare all the meals for the City of San Antonio's senior centers. So there's roughly 52 centers out there right now that we're preparing their meals every day. So with the City of San Antonio's meals to some other meals organizations in the surrounding counties, we're preparing about 9,000 meals a day right now. So it is a massive kitchen doing some incredible work with some unbelievable meals.
Is there a chef back there that's kind of mapping all that out, or how does that go
Yes,
about?
it is. Our chief nutrition officer is actually a master chef, and we work hand in hand with our registered dietitian to design these meals. And again, as we mentioned earlier, the meals pack a punch. I mean, they are designed for someone who is an older person who really, we need the nutrients there. But it's got to be a meal that tastes great.
They got to
It's
eat
gotta
it.
be fun. And so it's pretty darn good.
With all the amazing, with the building, with the huge kitchen, with all of that you all do every day, I'm sure there is the classic nonprofit, dilemma at the end of the day is you're always fundraising, right? You have massive donors that make all this possible. Can you tell us a little bit more about, what's those donor stories, or how you actually go about, participating and donating to Meals on Wheels San Antonio?
Sure. The donors that write those generous checks are really giving from the heart, and they are seeing what a difference their dollars make. I wish we all could do this. It was free and we could donate our time, but by golly, we have a staff here of 135 professionals that really do an amazing job to serve these 10,000 people a year, and it is quite an operation. Our donors, though, we can never say thank you enough. The donors came in to help put this $23 million building together, but the donors provide these a million plus meals a year, and it is just really phenomenal. So one of the things I always say, though, is we can't say thank you enough. We can't thank our donors enough. We can't thank our volunteers enough. We can't thank our staff enough for their time and commitment.
The question I always love to end on, because I think a lot of nonprofits are constantly under pressure of, hey, you should do this or do that. So I like to take a step back and say, so what do you need as an organization? What can we do as a community to help better support you?
One of the things that we need is just more awareness of the role of Meals on Wheels in the community and the impact that we as an organization can have. We're owned by the community to serve the community, to address the needs of the community. And the more people that are aware of Meals on Wheels, the more great things happen. Pandemic was hard on all of us. It was a time that we all need in our rearview mirror so that it needs to get totally behind us, which it's not, unfortunately. But one of the good things that came out of the pandemic was that community awareness of the Meals on Wheels services grew incredibly. And more people are aware of the work, but so many people are not aware of Meals on Wheels. When people are aware, people talk, people tell stories, whether their family member received meals, where they delivered meals themselves, where they know that they invested in the organization by making a donation. And that in turn helps us identify more people who can benefit by the services we offer. So greater community awareness, and we're here for the community and going to be here for the community for a long time. So anyway, I've gotten to do so much and have had so much fun. And getting this building built, somebody said, is that it? Are you kidding? We've just started. This is just the beginning.
It's the foundation.
It's
literally.
This is for the next the next however many years of Meals on Wheels as we continue to evolve. So thank you for being here.
Well, that's all for part one. I hope you all enjoyed this interview. Vincent is honestly such an inspirational force for nonprofit leaders here in San Antonio. He's an amazing CEO, and I'm so excited to see all the things they do with the organization as it grows. Make sure to like and subscribe for part two, which is going to be coming out in the next couple of days, where we actually go through the day in the life of volunteers and show you how you can get involved in the wealth of programs that Meals on Wheels has to offer. So if you're excited about helping local nonprofits and you want to get involved, make sure to hit that bell, and I'll see you next time.